Thank you for taking the time to join us today for this on-demand webinar for partners wanting to learn a little bit more about RealVNC, what differentiates us, why our customers choose us, and what that means for our partners. My name's Chris. I'm the partner manager at RealVNC. I'm sure I've spoken to many of you before. If I haven't had that pleasure, please feel free to reach out to me off the back of this on-demand webinar via phone, email, LinkedIn. I'm happy to talk with our partner community. I'll be joined a bit later by our solutions manager for EMEA, Brad Walton. A little bit later in the video, Brad will be going over how our software actually ticks. He'll be providing some real-time demos and how we can help add even more value to customers. If you're interested in jumping straight to that, we'll have this video bookmarked along the progress bar, so you can easily find the sections that you want to jump to or rewatch again and get stuck into. In terms of what we're going to talk about today, we thought it would be a great opportunity to cover the below topics. So we'll go over a little more about RealVNC's recent history and what's led us to the growth we're currently experiencing. I'll be touching on our solutions, what about these differentiates us from many of the vendors out there. I'll mention a few case studies towards the end, highlighting how some of our customers implement our software and the impact that makes. And after Brad has delivered a wealth of practical knowledge, I'll outline our partner program and explain how it's been designed to incentivize and reward our partners. In June this year, RealVNC will celebrate its 23rd birthday, and we've been on quite the journey. In the late 90s, the behemoth telecoms company AT&T and the research laboratory at the University of Cambridge began collaborating on several technology projects. One of their creations was virtual network computing, VNC. When the research lab closed in 2002, our founders established RealVNC, and we've been impacting people's lives ever since as the original inventors of remote access. Over the years, we've continue to transform our software and enhance its capabilities into a world-class solution benefiting over 90,000 customers across 160 countries. A watershed moment for RealVNC came in September 2021 when we received investment from a UK-based private equity firm, Livingbridge. And since then, we've doubled our headcount in the UK. We've expanded into the USA with a head of sales, a VP of marketing, sales team, and support functions, all based across the pond. We launched our updated partner program in Q1 of last year and our brand new partner portal in Q1 of this year. And we're moving from strength to strength with our growth for both ourselves and our key partners globally. In Q2 of this year, we'll be releasing RealVNC Connect version 8. With it is our latest and greatest iteration of our remote access software, and is arguably our biggest step forward that we've made since the inception of RealVNC 25 years ago. I just want to take the time to highlight some of those key advancements that make V8 such a leap forward. So anybody who's already familiar with our software will know that it comes in two parts. You have VNC Server, which is the part of the software that you install on the device that you want to remotely access. And then you have VNC Viewer, which is the software that you install on a separate device that you will eventually use to access the remote device with VNC Server installed on it. It's not the most intuitive experience, but with V8, we will have a single unified desktop application which combines both server and viewer, simplifying deployment and use, which is absolutely huge. Along with this, we've also fully redesigned our user interface, making it even easier to navigate the app and set up your connection preferences. We're also releasing some fantastic new features, which I'll get into a little bit later. And I guess to sum up V8 in a sentence, we are ultimately making RealVNC even easier to use and improving our users' experience in a massive way. So What do our subscription plans actually look like? Technically, we have 4 paid plans. What I'm not going to cover on this webinar is our Essentials package. That's more for individual use and not so much for commercial use. So if a customer is reaching out to you asking for Essentials, I would suggest they need some further guidance on what business goals they're looking to achieve. For our corporate use, our packages move up from Business Plus, Business Premium, and Enterprise. And as you'd expect, the further along you go, the greater the feature set. So Plus is for teams needing basic remote access with some more advanced features, such as multi-language support and multi-monitor support. As it's the more entry-level plan, Plus will only allow cloud connectivity, and I'll get into connectivity options a little bit more later. With V8, we're introducing a new feature called Code Connect, which is accessible for all plans. Effectively, Code Connect lets you grant a guest user from outside your team attended access to a licensed device quickly and securely. This is done through a secure, time-restricted 9-digit code, which refreshes every 120 seconds for that enhanced security. This feature can be very useful for creating ad hoc connections to devices, perhaps for consultants or non-permanent staff members. Premium is a great fit for companies looking for a little bit more enhanced security features, such as multi-factor authentication, enhanced audit capabilities to be able to track connections, and setting custom permissions for devices. Premium also grants access to direct connectivity, which allows devices to connect via their IP addresses to keep a connection in your local area network. However, those devices do still need to be connected to the internet. We're also including our on-demand assist feature with premium subscriptions, rebranded as Helpdesk On-Demand Assist. And we'll be introducing a Helpdesk Advanced to our enterprise plan when V8 is released, which will have an even greater range of capabilities. But again, I'll go into that a little bit later. Our enterprise plan includes our most sophisticated features, such as mass deployment, SSO, and offline deployment or offline licensing, which is different to direct connectivity and one of our biggest USPs. At a really simple level, offline licensing allows devices to have RealVNC installed on them and to be remotely accessed, or without ever needing to be connected to the internet. Offline licensing is a highly prized feature for our hyper security conscious customers, usually sitting in very highly regulated industries. Now, to ensure we can provide comprehensive support and value to our enterprise customers, there is a minimum order threshold of 150 devices or 5 users on all new enterprise subscriptions. This allows us to provide the required in-depth implementation, training, and ongoing support that is essential to many of our enterprise customers. The licensing of our software is another area where we've seen significant evolution and improvement. As mentioned on the previous slide, our enterprise plans can be licensed as either per device or per user, depending on the customer's preference. However, for our Essentials, Plus, and Premium plans, we've moved away from per device and per user and instead implemented a per concurrent sessions model. Customers can purchase subscriptions based on the number of concurrent sessions they'll need, and each plan comes with a set number of managed devices included and allow for unlimited users on the majority of plans. The question with that is why have we made that change? And it's a very simple answer. In short, we've listened to the feedback from our partners and our customers. We've made our pricing simpler for customers to understand. and aligned our licensing structure to a more commonly used format. We've reduced a lot of complexity. So by decreasing our total number of SKUs, partners can better articulate which plans would suit a customer's use case best. And we've managed to do all of that while making customer subscriptions even better value. So customers will now benefit from having unlimited users on most plans, as well as having a larger number of managed devices included in their subscription. If you'd like to find out a bit more about our licensing plans, please feel free to look at our pricing page on the RealVNC website, or reach out to a member of the RealVNC team and we'd be happy to help. So just to go in a little bit deeper, I just want to go through a couple of quick examples on how per concurrent sessions work in the real world. So example number one, on a subscription with a concurrent session limit of 2, one user can access 2 devices at the same time, but obviously couldn't access a third. A second example, again on a subscription with a concurrent session limit of 2 separate users can access 1 device at the same time, but neither could access a third device as the 2 concurrent session limit had been reached. If you put this into a real life example, let's say you have a premium subscription which allows for a maximum of 5 concurrent sessions, and you wanted to connect to 4 separate devices, as well as establish 1 on-demand assist session, because on-demand assist is now included in premium. Those 4 connections are drawn from your overall concurrent session limit. So you would have established a connection to those 4 devices, and then the on-demand assist session to another device, and that would then maximize your number of 5 concurrent sessions. If you would like some further guidance on our plans or how our licensing works, again, please feel free to visit our partner portal, where we have a huge wealth of user guides and how-to guides based on our content library that can support you in most of your questions. As I mentioned earlier, our enterprise plans will continue to be licensed as per device and per user. We are offering that not only to offer greater flexibility to our customers, but the models themselves are different by design for 2 separate use cases. So per device is best suited to use cases where you need to regularly remotely access devices, typically with unattended access, and that requires RealVNC to be pre-installed on those devices you want to access, which when there are multiple devices can be done very quickly through our mass deployment feature. Per user, by contrast, allows technicians to remotely access any device to provide support to a user without needing RealVNC to have been pre-installed on that device. Those connections need to be attended or manned by a person to grant access to the technician. But as you can see, those use cases are very different, and our enterprise licensing model allows both use cases to be licensed. Finally, on the plans and features, I want to take this opportunity to highlight our on-demand assist feature a little bit more and the value that it can bring to customers, especially now that it's included in the premium plan. This is a great option for customers looking to offer ad hoc IT support to devices not included in a user's managed device count or that sit outside of the corporate network. Connections are established via a unique single-use join code over the internet, and there's no configuration required by the end user or the need for admin rights. Connections are web-based only and work on both desktop and mobile devices. So this includes both iOS and Android devices. You can also white label on-demand assist with your own branding if you're offering IT support as part of your managed service. So it truly is the complete package for IT support. So the question is then, who do we sell our solutions to? To help us better understand the industries that we provide the most value to, we created our ideal customer profile bullseye, or our ICP bullseye. The bullseye shows which verticals we know we perform particularly well in and we can add the most value to. Manufacturing, energy, education, healthcare, retail, all top the list, typically due to their company characteristics. And what do I mean by company characteristics? We define these as the key indicators on how the business operates. So that could be, do they operate over multiple sites and locations? Do they have a predominantly remote workforce? Does their industry have the propensity to work with specialist equipment, or do they predominantly have on-premise infrastructure? Our software provides real ironclad value to the companies that have these characteristics, and companies in these verticals routinely demonstrate these qualities, hence how we know that we add the most value to them. As part of creating the ICP bullseye, we also identified who at the end user our message resonates with best. As you can see, stakeholders that sit in the leadership and managerial positions tend to appreciate the huge benefits that RealVNC can bring to their business. That's usually because, in truth, the remit of an IT team is a never-ending, ever-increasing, complex list of responsibilities. When looking at infrastructure and device management, companies are constantly grappling with the challenges that stretch their IT teams to the limit. That increasing complexity makes it extremely challenging for IT teams to manage and plan for optimal performance, operations, robust security, all whilst keeping TCO costs to a minimum. We demonstrate how RealVNC can not only help assuage the pressures of TCO, but enable a fast, reliable, secure solution. In terms of what our customers use our software for, we can probably go a bit deeper than remotely accessing devices, and we typically see 4 common use cases. So providing IT support, system maintenance, accessing high performance or specialist equipment, and then your more classic use case of just remote access. With IT support, our on-demand assist capability through a per user license allows us to establish ad hoc connections to any device using any operating system for both mobile and desktop. For customers primarily providing system maintenance, we often discover that devices can be located in difficult to reach or inhospitable locations such as oil rigs, submarines, weather stations, even space. So being able to offer offline access to these devices can mean that organizations don't need to send costly engineers out to dangerous locations. With customers accessing high performance or specialist equipment, we often find these devices are again offline, and security is paramount. Our focus on security is one of our key differentiators. Our security features are not only world-class, but our compliance certifications are too. Our architecture is secure to the core, as recognized by the annual white box penetration tests I mentioned earlier. With the more standard remote access use case being able to offer both cloud and on-premise connectivity are options that are incredibly useful to our customers. In fact, our on-premise connectivity is one of the main reasons that customers choose us and allows us to help end users achieve their remote access requirements without having to trust the internet a lot of the time, which is becoming actually an ever-increasing threat to business. Being able to offer flexible, reliable, secure remote access to our myriad of customers, all with their own unique use cases, is essential to us providing value to so many customers and industries. When we look at the wider advantages of using RealVNC, there are some standout benefits. As mentioned previously, our fast and reliable software paired with our flexible pricing models means we can provide a solution that suits a customer's requirements without lumbering them with additional complexities or features that they may not need. Our robust security-focused feature set gives IT teams the control they need of their environments, regardless of size or complexity. And of course, we're with you every step of the way. We don't want our partners to work for us. We want you to work with us in delivering customers a best-in-class vendor experience. We have dedicated sales and product support teams who can work with you to qualify a customer's requirements and deliver the solutions they need. In the next few slides, I'm going to cover a few topics where RealVNC really excels and where we differentiate ourselves. We've helpfully put together some comparison matrices on some key areas in order to help shine a light on some subjects which need to be thought about when deciding which remote access vendors a customer wants to move forward with. As you'd expect, with security being such a hot topic, there's a lot of green on this slide, and no vendor is truly lacking in this area. And there are, of course, proficiencies which need to be covered from a compliance point of view. What's interesting, if we pick on a couple of points rather than run through the list, is how RealVNC is intentionally built different from a lot of our competitors. For instance, if we look at the second point down, decentralized device IDs, what does that actually mean? Typically with some remote access vendors, once you start that program and run the software, the device will be listening and waiting to make a connection. By having that device always discoverable, it potentially opens you up to what are called brute force attacks, where someone can just keep trying to guess an ID or a password to try and establish a connection to that device. A simple analogy that I like to think of it as would be if you're on a train or in a communal area, you get your mobile phone out and you look at your Bluetooth, you'd be able to see all the devices that are currently discoverable that you could potentially try and connect to. Phones, speakers, smart devices. Some of them aren't even password protected. And if you wanted to, you could try and connect some of those devices because they're discoverable. With RealVNC Connect, we've gone a different way. Devices are only discoverable if they're within your team when the subscription is set up. So you can't find any RealVNC Connect device out there unless you've been explicitly granted access by the team admin. And that really reduces the attack surface. One other area from the list that I'd like to focus on is ISO 27001 compliance, which, if you didn't know, is effectively the world's best known standard for establishing and maintaining an information security management system. Now, there's a big difference between a company being ISO 27001 compliant and the data center that they use being ISO 27001 compliant. AnyDesk, for example, talk about their data centers being ISO 27001 compliant, which is very different to the whole organization being compliant. The certification process, for example, is a very involved process that it takes weeks, months, potentially even years to get to the required level. There's a huge amount of work and a number of processes and policies that need to be put in place across many different topics, such as change management and access management. So there's a big difference between your company being compliant and just the data centers you use being compliant, because realistically, most, if not all, data centers are going to be ISO 27001 compliant. So for some vendors, it's a tick box exercise versus the hard work that can go into getting that certification for your organization. I think part of what we do is recognize that there are security risks everywhere, whether you're looking at free tools that are included in your operating system or third-party tools like RealVNC Connect or TeamViewer. There are risks to each one. What's important is how an organization looks to mitigate those risks and what can be put in place to stop them. What we have is a proactive approach to security, and that's how we build our product, as opposed to being reactive. So now if we move on to connectivity, which is essentially how a customer wants to access their devices, be that over the internet or through direct connections. At RealVNC, for many years, we only offered a direct connectivity option for our devices. It's one of the things that we're best known for. And in 2016, that did change when we started to offer both a direct and cloud solution. And just to clarify, when I say cloud, I mean we broker a connection between devices. We can't see data, we can't access data. It's a secure connection with end-to-end encryption. The important thing when looking at connectivity is how your environment is set up. For example, do you have a lot of offline devices that will never see the light of day as far as an internet connection is concerned? Because if you don't want to run the risk of exposing business critical infrastructure to potential threats, you may need to look at going down that route. Does your company provide a lot of ad hoc IT support to your clients over a cloud connection? All these things need to be considered when selecting your remote access vendor of choice. Where we find we add a lot of value to our customers is when they're looking at potentially a hybrid approach to connectivity, combining both direct and cloud connectivity. That can be beneficial for organizations with air-gapped servers or dispersed workforces. Of course, as I mentioned previously, offering a well-established on-premise solution is one of the things that we are known for and something that our customers continue to come back to us for. If we look at operational connectivity or interoperability in regards to specifically remote access, we're really talking about supporting a wide range of operating systems, a lot of the time older versions of an operating system, and ensuring consistent functionality across all platforms. When you're selecting a remote access vendor, it's crucial to consider both the current needs of the business and future growth. You want to ensure the solutions you're choosing can be efficiently deployed and scaled across different operating systems to meet long-term business goals. That isn't just limited to laptops and desktop devices. There's long-standing complexities regarding supporting Linux OS, for example, as well as mobile operating systems like iOS and Android. In regards to mobile OS, we have parity with most vendors in terms of mobile operating systems. We can remotely access and control Android devices, whereas iOS devices only allow viewing, which is essentially Apple's restrictions, which are unlikely to change anytime soon. So it's definitely a topic we discuss with our customers to make sure their remote access strategy is as future-proof as it can be. Scalability. And more specifically, what we're talking about here is, does the vendor understand your requirements in enough depth that you can roll out the solution and start seeing the impact of that solution straight away? And after that, is it easy to maintain? RealVNC's philosophy is around ensuring ease of deployment for our software without requiring customers to go through complex certification programs to be able to use the software. The focus is on using familiar tools like group policy objects or MSIs for deployment, along with options for automation through APIs to streamline management, particularly for large-scale deployments. Simplifying deployment and maintenance reduces, as you spoke about earlier, the total cost of ownership by minimizing the need for continuous IT resource to manage the application, making it incredibly important consideration when deciding on your remote access vendor of choice. I'm just going to spend a few minutes talking about two customers specifically who implemented RealVNC in their organizations. I'll quickly highlight who they are, what their requirement was, and how RealVNC allowed them to achieve their goals. So Telesat is a Canadian satellite communications company. They own 12 satellites in orbit around the world and manage a further 13 satellites for third parties. They use RealVNC to service communication satellites, and our software gives engineers rapid, direct access to mission-critical devices that maintain satellite telemetry in orbit. As you can see from the quote from Wayne Hobbs, who's one of the satellite control network analysts, and I am paraphrasing here, using RealVNC makes Telesat's lives easier because it just works. And that allows them to focus on operations that need their undivided attention. It's a truly great use case. We also have Pratt & Whitney, who are an aerospace manufacturer with global service operations. They have 80 global test facilities with 400 members of staff that require test facility computing assistance. And they use RealVNC to remotely support their staff and overcome the language barriers. And I don't think you can really get higher praise than that of the group leader at Pratt & Whitney, where he says that RealVNC is indispensable to their business. Now I'm going to pass over to Brad, our solutions manager, who will take you on more of a technical deep dive of what makes RealVNC tick.
Hello. Today we're going to be walking through version 8 of RealVNC Connect. This is the latest version that RealVNC has released, and we're going to be doing a product walkthrough. We're going to start here in the home section. This is the landing page when you open the app. There's a few things you can do. You can search for a device. You can connect using a code, which is our new Code Connect product. You can connect to a registered device, which is a device that is registered with the cloud and is tied to your account. You can also start a support session using our Helpdesk or on-demand assist product. There's a few informational items here with links to items on our website. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at our devices section. This is going to show us all of the devices that are joined to our team. I can go in here to the My Organization. This is going to show all the teams that I'm a part of. I can come here to my groups. This is going to show all of the groups that have been created and I've been given access to in the RealVNC portal. And you can come in here to our favorites. This is where you can kind of create your own groups. You can have nested groups. If I want to create a new nested folder, I can do that here. Let me just call this guy test device. So you can organize your devices in a way that makes sense. One thing we can also do is turn on or off various filters that let you filter by name, status, and operating system. I can come in here if I want to show just the online devices. I can come and click status from the dropdown. I can choose online. That's going to only show me the devices that are currently online. If I want to select a specific operating system, I can do that as well, and I can combine that with the online filter. I can scroll through this list of device OS names that have been detected and are a part of my system. If I want to do a name filter, I can come in here and do the same thing. If I click Edit Filter and I wanted to list a specific device, I can come in here and maybe type CK. That should filter out so that it's just my CK111 device that I see here. To clear the filter, I can come in here, I click the blue X, and that will clear the filter and return me to the last state. If I want to add a device to a favorites folder, I can come in here, go to the three dots, click on this, and I can click Add to Favorites. We will automatically do a flyout window that shows the folder. You just have to click the folder that you want. Once you do that, if you go here to your test device folder, you'll see the device that I recently added. Let's go ahead and walk through our Code Connect feature. This is one of the new features that we've added to version 8. I've got two workstations here in my virtual environment. I've got this guy, CK111. We're going to do a Code Connect session to this guy, 111 test 2. I'll go back to this guy. When I open the Code Connect section here in the RealVNC client, You can see I have the option to enter a code to connect to a device, and I can also allow connections with this toggle button. If I click this to be enabled, you can see this little green indicator shows that that is active and listening for connections. The device code is a unique one-time code that can't be reused. This is the code that the target device would provide to the technician or the person who needs to connect. I'll go ahead and disable this and go over to our second device. You can see here I'm at the Code Connect section. I'm going to turn on and allow those Code Connects requests to come through. You can see here I've generated that unique one-time code. I'm going to copy that and take it over to my first device, paste it into the section here. When I hit connect on the target device, we will see a notification. This has to be approved to establish the connection. This lists the user, their email address, and a checkbox that requires the user to agree with the statements that they know the person that who is connecting to them. When I hit confirm, if I jump back over here to my first device, you can see here I've got a remote session using Code Connect to my second device. Okay, now that we've got our remote session established, let's walk through some of the changes that we've made in version 8. The first one is our toolbar. We've made this so that it's a floating toolbar at the top. If I choose to unpin this, it will shrink down into this floating blue icon that I can position as needed. If I click on this, I still have the option to interact with the device. I'll go ahead and repin this back to the top. The first option here, this will allow me to enter a full screen session. If I come over here, this is going to show me the scaling options. This allows volume to come through from the remote device. Our file transfer, we've updated this. Let me go ahead and click on that. If I want to transfer files over to the target device, I can come in here. Let's say I want to move this logs folder over to the desktop into the support logs folder. I'll go ahead and click the blue arrow. It will transfer the devices over. You can see here in the history, I've logged the transfer of that folder. If I want to interact and use chat, I can do that as well. Chat with the device. You can see here this pops up on the viewer, and so I can communicate with the end user through chat. I can do screen recording. I can manually disconnect the session as well as reboot the remote device. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close out of the session here and jump into our Helpdesk product. Helpdesk uses our on-demand assist feature. From here, the technician can generate a one-time unique session code. Once he has the code, the user can go out to our realvnc.help website. They can download the single-use installer for on-demand assist. If they run that, they'll see this window here, and they'll be prompted to enter the 9-digit session code that the technician has. I'll go ahead and do that. When I hit connect, we will connect to the technician. I will get prompted first with a notification to verify who I'm connecting to. That's going to show the name, the team, and the email of the person that I'm connecting to. When I hit confirm, that will open this guy right here. This is our indicator for the on-demand assist session. If I look over on the technician side, you can see I've started the session. Now, the main difference here between this and our other connecting through our device connections or Code Connect is that we do not launch with administrative credentials. If you need to elevate permissions, you can click on this icon here. This opens up a window to either have the end user provide credentials or you can elevate using credentials on the technician side. I'll go ahead and cancel that. You can see here, we have the same options as the other connection windows with the addition of the Elevate Permissions button. Okay, great. I'm going to close the on-demand assist session. The session can be closed either by the end user by clicking the end session button or by the technician clicking the disconnect button. I'll go ahead and terminate the connection. The next thing I want to go through is the information that's shown in my device. From here, I can show some basic information. I have the option to turn on Code Connect. I can show my identity check, which includes the catchphrase and signature, as well as the other ways to connect, which would be the IP address information. I can look at my active connections, I can look at my notifications, and I can see my device diagnostics that I can provide to support. You can save these as a text file, which support will sometimes ask you for. The next option here, if I go down to my settings, you can see I've got three options here. The first account is going to show me which account I'm signed in with. There's some options here. I can look for the service status of RealVNC, access technical support, link to our knowledge base, and some version information about RealVNC Connect. If I look here at the outbound connections, I can go in and see the options here. If I look, for example, if I go to privacy, this will control some of the settings such as audio, allowing copy paste, remembering passwords, as well as hiding screenshots. Each one of these sessions, each one of these options here will give you different access to different settings. These don't require administrative permissions because we're not changing the ability to connect to the device. If I come into my inbound sessions, however, accessing these does require administrative permission, and I will receive the UAC prompt to do so. For example, on the encryption, our default setting is always on. If you choose always maximum, that will bump it up to our 256-bit AES encryption. Go back to inbound settings, and you can see I can access any of the other settings here as needed. The other option here, if I want to go into the advanced settings, I can come in. These show the individual options that are available to be configured. These can be configured here or through group policy or through Intune and applying your Intune policy. I appreciate everybody's time today, and I hope you have success using RealVNC version 8. We're excited to share it with you. Hope everyone has a great day. Thanks. Bye.
I wanted to wrap up this session by covering our newly released partner program, the levels, the benefits, and the support available to partners. With the relaunch of our partner program back in April this year, we've looked to establish a 3-level program focused on incentivizing and rewarding our partners. The tiers move from silver at an entry level through to gold for our outstanding resellers, with platinum almost exclusively reserved for our distributors. As you'd expect, the further up the levels you go, the higher the potential margin. However, it's not as simple as just a flat discount rate across all of the deals. We've introduced the concept of what we're calling partner sourced and RealVNC sourced deals. The difference is quite straightforward. If a partner introduces us to a deal that we were previously unaware of, they will receive a higher margin. However, suppose RealVNC discovers the deal, or we are already in talks with the customer, and then at the last moment the customer chooses to purchase through a partner. In that case, we'd still offer a very generous margin, although it'll be slightly lower than if the partner has sourced the deal themselves. This way, we look to incentivize generating new business opportunities and reward partners accordingly for opportunities that they source. At every level of the partner program, once you sign your respective distributor or reseller agreement, you'll have access to marketing and sales support tailored specifically to working with you on identifying and converting RealVNC opportunities. For those partners at gold and platinum levels, you also gain access to an NFR license, or a not for resale license, which you can use to as a demo license to help you both improve your own knowledge regarding RealVNC and also use as a tool to demonstrate RealVNC to customers if you feel comfortable enough to do that. On the roadmap for partners, we have a refreshed partner portal coming. We're aiming for that towards the end of 2024, which will help partners track their opportunities as well as gain access to marketing material and further support, amongst other great benefits. We'll, of course, share more updates on the partner portal when we can, but right now, watch this space. Finally, what's next? I would say, firstly, be on the lookout for our new partner newsletter, Partner Pulse. This is a partner-centric tool that we'll be using moving forward to share relevant and valuable information with our partner network. And if you're interested to learn more about RealVNC and discuss the partner program further, please reach out to me on chris.beagle@realvnc.com, or alternatively, you can reach out to us on our partner inbox, which is channelpartner@realvnc.com. Thank you all for joining me today, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.